Got a real steel knife here. This is the G5 Metamorph button lock. Ivory, G10, satin. I don't know what steel it is. It doesn't say there, does it? But this is the button lock version of a knife that I reviewed a while back. That was in a liner lock version. Okay. And I liked the liner lock version so much that I had to check out this button lock version. Here it is. So it was a front flipper. Yeah, I forgot that it was a front flipper. But awful nice. Amazing action. Yeah, and I mean, it was just cool enough that with that front flipper and this liner lock, I thought, man, if this one's that cool, I wonder if that button lock's that nice. So, we're going to find out. I might even have mentioned in the video for this one that I might have to check this one out. But let's get rid of all this stuff. Boxes and stuff. Alright, here we go. Man, let's get this thing out of here. Ooh, stiff. What's that about? There it is. I mean, it's kind of grindy. And slight amount of button stick, maybe. It's thicker. Yeah, it's definitely thicker. And the bearings on this one are stunning. This one seems to be a little different. Yeah, it's quite a bit thicker. I suppose you got to get that button mechanism in somewheres, right? And it's kind of crunchy. I mean, it's locked up solid. I think it's just maybe a timing issue. Because if I get it all the way to depressed and out of the way, runs pretty good. But if you look at the back of that blade, look, is that grease or is it chewed up? I think it's grease. I mean, fairly stiff detent. Well, let's get in it, man. I mean, it's not the first knife that when I first encountered it, it wasn't all that in a bag of chips. You know what I mean? So we're going to pop it open and we'll take it a step at a time. Feels like it's got a little Loctite on it. Yeah, it definitely does. A little Loctite going on there. And the spring has got some tension. Ooh, lots of tension on the spring. I'm pretty sure one of these is the only other screw, maybe both. Those have Loctite on them. Let's control that axis, make sure we don't lose that spring. Well, it's got a internal screw that's holding it all together. We're definitely going to pull it because we are planning on completely cleaning this piece. Yeah, see now that blade runs really well now. So see if we can't deal with some of the tension issues that's going on here. Because that action felt gritty and not very nice. Well, I can see right here, this screw goes all the way through to this scale. Yeah. And so does this screw. This screw goes all the way into the scale. So if you're going to take it apart, you got to get all the screws out. Yep. Bet you it come off now. Yep. Tiny, thin bearings. Yep. And everything's all greased up. It's all greasy. Got these big screws. They all have Loctite on them. I mean, pretty much full disassembly. No real reason for me to take this off. Might as well leave that sit. But yeah, let's get it all wiped down. Lots of grease on everything. That kind of sticky grease. I'm not a big fan. I mean, I've said it a few times. Has it got better shelf life than this gun oil that I'm using? I'm sure it does, yeah. I mean, there's a reason they use it. I'm not saying I'm smarter than them. I'm sure I'm the dummy. They're the smart ones. That grease is the way to go. But I tend to find that my gun oil gives me better action. Now, I'll concede. Is it long-term stuff? I don't know. Look, there's serial number on the liner. It's kind of interesting. I think I noticed that in the other one. Or maybe it was other real steel knives that they tend to put serial numbers on stuff on the inside. Which is kind of cool. Adds a level of legitimacy, I guess, to their stuff. Nice stone wash on all of that. And of course the white provides me an opportunity to, I mean, I can purplefy this thing if I want. Alright, let's get these bearings cleaned up. Man, are they thin. These are tiny little bearings. Look at it. Very small and almost sheet of paper thin. But I think I remember it had the same bearing on the other knife. And that thing runs like a Swiss watch, man. It's got A-level action. Yep. And so, can't judge a book by its cover. And is this a serious, hard-working piece of hardware? No. No, it's not. It's not meant to have me take that to work in the oil field in the morning. I mean, I have about 100 better options. Maybe every knife I have is a better option than this one. Because just the nature of this knife, it's not meant to be used like that. let's get it back together. Where to begin? Where to begin? I think we start here. And it is a captured pivot that captures in the other scale. I'll try to keep my fingerprints off of that if I can. As much as I can. Try to give it a final wipe down when I'm done. And then these two long screws go through, so I got to get them in. I think that red one was for the pocket clip. And then the blue Loctite was here on the body screw. I don't know. Is there a color designation for all that? I guess. And then the back spacer, but this lanyard pin would probably be easier to put in now. There it goes. Okay, button. Probably need to work with the blade. Let's go ahead and put a bearing down. Tiny little bit. Now the blade. I'm going to try to put all that together in concert. There we go. That's where I wanted to be. Probably get this next washer or bearing. It's not a washer, it's a bearing. And then I think we can lock this down. Put it on lockdown. Like so. Except that flat pivot has to face down. Like so. Okay. There it is. I probably will try to lean that up and get those long screws from the other side in. Okay. Lots of activity at the house this morning. It's all good though. All right. I think I'm hopeful that we've made progress. There's a dab of grease in there, and I didn't bother it, and it's on the spring, and I didn't bother it. I'm going to leave that grease on the spring. Can't hurt nothing there. Yeah, there it is. Come on, man. Somebody say something. It's y'all's fault. There it is. Now, there is a lot of tension on that spring. But I'm not going to mess with it yet. I wanted to clean up that action and deal with all that. And then if it's still funky, I may mess with the detent on that button. Because, man, is there tension on that button. A lot. I like it a lot. No, there's a lot of tension on it. I'm going to have to put screws in here because it's what evens out the scale on the back. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, the scale doesn't have anything to do with the liners, and the liners are secure. So, yeah, whatever. Couple of screws. Alright, let's check it. Yeah, button stick. But the action is way better. There's a ton of tension on that button though. Yeah. It's locked up really tight though, man. I mean, so do I mess with that or do I leave it tight like that? Interesting. Interesting dilemma. And the only way in this knife, you got two ways in. You can depress that button or this thumb tab. There's no spidey flick in this knife. It's just there's so much tension on that button. I mean, it's running like crazy now, though. I just think there's too much tension on that button. I think I'm going to leave it for now. And if I continue to handle the knife and it continues to be kind of tight and like a little bit of button stick, then I can always get in there and compress that spring a little bit and deal with it. But I think for right now, I'm just going to run with it the way that it is. Yeah, I mean, the knife's super solid, and, you know, I think most importantly, that's what I would want. The issue's only in the closing. In the opening, it's got such a solid detent that I don't think I want to take that away so that I don't have a little bit of stick when I close it. And, you know, I always want to prioritize the opening over the closing. You know, if I got to compromise something, I'd rather be it in the closing, you know. All right, let's talk about this action. Let's just get going forward. So that detent is just so good with that thumb flick. Boom. I mean, it's wonderful. It's coming out of there with force and very aggressive. And I like it. A lot of snap to that. If I deploy with just the button, works wonderfully. Just have to be intentional with it. And there's no lock stick just using the button. The only lock stick is if I use the thumb and then to close it. It sticks a little bit from that. But just using the button, which is an oddity, but it's kind of that way. Normally with a button lock, if you're just using the button, there's no button stick. But when you smash it out with the thumb or the spidey flick, you can encounter some lock stick. I think it comes out harder, goes deeper into the blade. You know, that's my theory. I'm sticking to it. Yeah, so, but this action for a button lock, I mean, it's a high B plus, A minus, only because there's that stick when I use that thumb. It's like a gritty stick. But it's pretty darn good. let's talk about ergonomics. So this thing fits really nice in hand. It's very comfortable. This tucks in back here. No hot spots. Very, very comfortable in hand. So a little bit of lowering in the scales here to provide a platform for a grip. And looking at it, I could probably accentuate that even a little more, which would give this a more confident grip. But right now, I'm going to say it's confident, but it's coming up just shy of it. If I met resistance going forward, that, you know, part of the reason that it's not, that I'm willing to go a little higher with it in the confident rating is because it's such a needle. I mean, even the shape of it is, I mean, this thing will puncture. It's going to go forward. It's not going to hang up much. There's nothing to hang up. Yeah, this is a piercing knife for sure. One thing I will say about the ergonomics is the G10 on this, the edges are sharp. Yeah, so it's definitely some file work. Pull these scales and do some file work and soften this up. Might be okay at that point to even lower these just slightly. It's not going to change the ergonomics of the blade at all because the blade goes down into there. It doesn't have anything to do with this platform. So, yeah, I mean, definitely soften the edges would be kind of nice. Make the knife a little more comfortable. I don't have any plans to do it right now, though. I'm just saying that could help. Let's check that pocket clip. I think it's going to run just fine. Looks like it's got enough of a ramp to get started on the thick stuff right here and go. Yeah, there it goes. It run out of room. It got a little thin where the screws are. But wow, is it in there tight. We'll try it a second time. Maybe it'll run. I mean, it definitely went better. And yeah, if I force it, it'll go all the way. Deep carry. It's got a nice little profile on it. Pretty cool. And yeah, it's definitely in there against those screws on the thick stuff for sure. I mean, I'd have to assist to get it out of there. Oof, yeah. I think it's going to be fine on jean size material. Yeah. Easy one hand in and out. Great tension. My spot in the back pocket, like I could tumble around. It's definitely a dryer clip in those two spots. Safety. Yeah, there's no blade contact. Almost a full back spacer. And the tip is recessed plenty. So clip's good, tip's good, and then no incidental blade contact. Wonder if that blade is sharp. Here's my piece of paper. I'm trying to keep it handy. Oh yeah. Yeah, crazy razor blade sharp. Wonderful. Price and availability. Where are they? What do we got to pay for them? Okay, so we're at $63 on Amazon next day, and we're at $57 on White Mountain Knives with the 10% DM10 discount code. Yeah, so, and then no tax at White Mountain Knives. Yeah, so a couple of places, man, and there's Jade, G10, and the blade steel on all these is 14C28N. I don't think I paid enough attention to that blade steel. Yeah, it's an Olstap Hell design, and they're all in 14C. Right there. Come on. Real steel. Pretty cool, serious little piercing knife. I mean, appreciate you watching.